So today we're visiting the Nevada Train Museum here in Ely, and they only had one train ride today at 9:30, and I was still a couple hours away. So if I wanted to stick around tomorrow at 9:30, they're doing another ride. I don't know if I will. So this engine, number 40, is known as the ghost train, or the ghost engine. And that's because in 1941, they discontinued passenger service in favor of bus service, and but they had to keep this and some cars as a backup. And at the end of World War II, they put this on the list of engines to be scrapped. But the crew loved it so much that every time the higher-ups came to look, they couldn't find it. Between the tracks in the mill and in the mine and between here and there, just seems like it was never around when they were looking for it. And that's why it was saved and it's here today. You see, this is built in Philadelphia, July 1910, and they bought it. It cost a little over $13,000. So each of these wheels weighs about 7 tons. It's like 6 foot diameter, and there are no bearings. These are all metal on metal, so you have to constantly oil and grease them. So if you ever wondered how big the chunks of coal that they feed into the boiler are, there you go. So this is engine 81, and it has not been operated in a very long time. So they are doing a total rebuild, restore. They have to do that. They're going to replace all the tubes in the boiler. They got to check the thickness, and they'll pull this completely apart. They said the tubes alone cost about $100,000 because they're all custom, and they expect to have this up and running next year, which is a good thing because engine 40 is up to its 15-year mandatory tear down and rebuild. So if you come here next year, this one may be pulling it. So this train car is split up into 2 sections. The front, or this end, is got velvet seats, and that's the ladies and no non-smoking area. The back has got leather seats, and it was for men only and smoking, or at least it was taboo for the women to ride back there. So this crane can lift up to 100 tons, and they got pictures somewhere around here of it being of lifting a locomotive up out of the mine, and they do take it out in February. They do a special photo shoot, and I'll talk about that a little later. So this is a rotary snow plow, and it can clear snow up as high as that light. It's basically just like a great big snow blower, but they needed an engine to push it, and sometimes if the snow was that deep, it would take 2 or 3. So this is the Blacksmith Shop, and that would have been the forge. And he said on cold days like this, all the doors would stay closed because they were working on such big things that if a draft came through, it could cool off one section and shrink it. and that would ruin it. But all of these gears and, well, these are all wooden mold or models, and they would do it sand casting to cast the actual gears and wheels and stuff. And all these huge tools along the wall are right where the last blacksmith hung them. They never have moved them since then. And of course, you need a big hammer. So that trip hammer there, the actual hammer itself weighs 1,500 pounds. It used to be run on steam, then they converted it to air. But it's a pretty big shop. That's that pretty old caboose that's in here for restoration. I don't think I've seen one that small. And if you come here and decide to take the train ride, which is like a 90-minute train ride that I missed, they do have open cars like this. But today, there's no way I would take it out the car. The wind is blowing. I think it's in the 30s, and I'm crazy because I'm wearing shorts. And there's a different kind of snow plow instead of the rotary one. You know, you got little light snow. You could use that. So here's a nice little map of the Nevada Northern Railway Company. We're down here in Ely at the very end of the line, and it went up to Cobry. And looks like it connected in with a different railroad. But I'm thinking it came down here, and there's a spur that goes off to the copper mine. And this is what the town of Ely looked like in 1905 before they built put the railroad in. And just 13 years later, in 1915, quite the thriving metropolis. The superintendent who used this office, it was 24 hours a day. He got paid 20 times what the average worker got paid, and part of the deal was that house. You can see through the window. That way, if something happened, he could be reached, easy to find. He was either there or here at work. I did have a company car. What a perk. So here's the vault that they kept records in. And on the other side of that wall is another vault that's in an old dark room. And that's where they would keep any cash or gold or silver or whatever. But yeah, I'm betting the door on that one is thicker than the one over here. And these are the payroll books. Going back, I think the oldest one I see is 1936. No, it was 1914, 1920. They said they've got ones from 1906 that and on up to when the railroad stopped operating as a commercial business. I think that's going to end my visit here to Ely. Even though that says East Ely, it's they changed the name to when they incorporated it as a city, and the Northern Nevada Railroad. We'll say goodbye to that today. If you are interested, they do run a picture thing in February where they take a lot of the trains out into the picturesque snowy mountains and let a lot of photographers take pictures. However, that costs $500, so I'm probably not going to do it myself. But yesterday, which was the last Saturday before Halloween, they did the last ghost tour, haunted train ride. It's $16 to visit the museum, take the guided tour. It's $33, including the tour, if you take the train ride. So anyway, I'm going to hit the road and see what else I can find. See you later, YouTube.